The Kennedys love it, and so will you. There's only one Cape Cod.
On this episode of On the Map, we'll show you our pick of where to stay during your trip to the Cape, as well as visit the community of Jesus at the Church of the Transfiguration. Then we wrap up our stay at the Cape by dining more American style with lobster bakes, fried clam chowder, and a wonderful bar and grill.
Welcome to the community of Jesus. This is the Church of the Transfiguration, which is the center of the community of Jesus, located right here at Rock Harbor on Cape Cod in Orleans. When you think of coming to Cape Cod as a visitor, you often come for the beaches. Nauset Beach, one of our most famous beaches, is about 5 minutes away. But you might be surprised to find next to a small fishing village of boats right down at Rock Harbor is the Church of the Transfiguration. The church is the center of the community of Jesus, and the community is an ecumenical Christian community made up of brothers and sisters, very much like Benedictine monks and nuns, as well as families who live in privately owned homes in the surrounding neighborhood. Altogether, there's about 250 of us. And every day throughout the day, we gather at times to pray. We sing in Gregorian chant, and we pray the Psalms and sing hymns. And then we also have Holy Eucharist every morning. So I'll take you on a little tour, and you can have an idea of what it's like. And then when you come in person, we'd love to have you visit us. So when you round the corner of the Church of the Transfiguration, the first place that you would be coming to is this outdoor opening. It's called an atrium. And the purpose of the atrium is to provide a transitional space as we prepare to enter the sacred space of the church. The intention of the design of this atrium is that it celebrates the beauty of creation. If you look all around, if you look above, if you look out the windows and the doorways, you can see the beauty of God's creation. And then we've began to tell the story of the Bible in Scripture through the various art forms that are shown here. The whole church tells the story of salvation from Genesis to Revelation based on scriptures throughout the Bible. The architecture of the church is based on an ancient Christian style of architecture, which was actually adopted from the Romans in the 4th century. But it has a very contemporary expression to it, and it was designed by William Rahn Associates of Boston, and he worked with a liturgy planning committee from the community, as well as a few outside consultants. And there were several things that went into the decision-making process. One was we wanted the church, of course, to house the worship that takes place inside of it, the Liturgy of the Hours, as well as Holy Eucharist and other services, weddings, funerals, baptisms. But then it was also, we wanted it to be ecumenical because the community of Jesus is ecumenical, which means we welcome all Christians from all traditions, Roman Catholic, Protestant, Orthodox, and even people of other faiths to this Christian community. So that was part of the thinking or the planning that went into it. The west wall depicts the story of the Transfiguration. This is the moment before Jesus entered Jerusalem for his passion, that he went up the mountain to pray with 3 of his disciples, Peter, James, and John, who you can see carved in stone below. While he was praying, the disciples witnessed his heavenly glory revealed to them and the voice of God speaking to them, and they were in awe and fear and trembling. It was the only time when he was living among them on earth that his heavenly glory and divinity were revealed to his disciples. And so this whole wall is an abstract rendering of that moment. The murals that you see above are painted in true fresco, and they're scenes from the life of Christ that are translated chronologically. We begin with the scene of the Epiphany. You can recognize it by Mary and Joseph and the baby and the wise men and the star. The next scene from the life of Christ is the baptism of Jesus, which you can see with the dove over his head and St. John the Baptist kneeling beside him. The visual focal point of the east end of the church is the apse, the rounded, curved shape, which provides a noble house for the altar. You can see the altar there, and the center is a symbol for Jesus Christ, the iota chi, and 12 doves converging on that center symbol for Christ. Each wing and tail of the dove is slightly different, which shows our diversity, but our unity as we come together in Christ. You can see in the north and south side aisle walls these chambers or cases that actually house an E.M. Skinner organ. It's comprised of 12 remnants of 12 Skinner organs that have been collected and assembled and built together by an organ restorer named Nelson Barden from Boston. And it has currently about 8,000 pipes. When it's completed, it will have 12,000. And it simulates the sound of an orchestra. For example, there would be a row of pipes that would sound like flutes, a set of pipes that would sound like trumpets, a set of pipes that would sound like strings, etc. And so when these are played in various combinations, the organ can simulate the sound of a string orchestra. This is a small prayer chapel that houses the reserved sacrament in a tabernacle. People often come here for some quiet prayer. And it has icons that were painted by one of the Community of Jesus sisters. Most of them are from saints recognized by the church before the big split between Protestants and Catholics. So most of them are from the 1st century. But this is a nice place for people to be able to have some quiet. Sometimes people like to light a candle and to reverence the sacrament in the tabernacle. There's a lot of events that we love to have people join us for, particularly in the summer, but also throughout the year. In the summertime, in July and August, we host harborside teas right here on this patio, which have become a well-loved favorite for people who visit on the summer in Cape Cod. And it's a plated tea served by the Sisters of the Community of Jesus with live chamber music. It's quite delightful, especially on a sunny day. And as well on Thursdays in July and August, we have brown bag organ concerts. So people can either buy a brown bag lunch or bring their own, sit on the lawn. We open up the doors of the church and there's a free concert for about an hour. It's really a fun thing to do. Then throughout the year, we have theater productions, sometimes Shakespeare, sometimes contemporary works. This summer, we're doing a production of Talking Heads. In December, we'll be doing Merchant of Venice. And then next summer, we'll be performing King Lear right in the atrium of the church. Last summer, we did Julius Caesar in the atrium of the church. And then we also do choir concerts throughout the year. In this July, we're doing Mendelssohn's Elijah. But every July, we'll be doing a concert with orchestra. And then in November, we sing the traditional service of 9 lessons and carols in the church, the choir. That's a lovely thing. But there's events throughout the year. There's also organ concerts in addition to the brown bag lunch concerts on Thursday. Often for feast days, there's big organ concerts, sometimes brass and organ concerts as well. So there's all kinds of things to do for families as well. So it's a fun time for people to come and participate and have a good time together. In the summer, this summer, we're having a band concert right out here on the lawn. So playing some of the favorite patriotic marches, and it's a great thing. Kids loves to do that kind of thing. So please feel free to come anytime, come for a tour, come to events. We'd love to have you.
After immersing ourselves in the community of Jesus, we were quite hungry, so we headed straight to Skipper's for a nice clam bake and some award-winning clam chowder.
Good evening, folks. My name is Alan Delaney. I'm the proprietor of the Skipper Restaurant and Chowder House in Bass River, in the town of Yarmouth in beautiful Cape Cod, welcoming you to sample some of our fare here tonight. The Skipper Restaurant and Chowder House has been here since 1936. It's one of Cape Cod's oldest waterfront restaurants and one of the finer waterfront restaurants, though of course I'm biased. And we've been serving locals and tourists for many years, and they love coming and trying some of our fresh seafood and of course our award-winning clam chowder.
So what we have here is both our New England award-winning clam chowder and the traditional soup version, and then our fried version that you can only find here at the Skipper Restaurant and Chowder House. Now, our clam chowder has won the Cape Cod, Boston, and Newport Chowder Festivals, and then we came up with this fried version. The fried version is the base of our chowder, which is all the great ingredients besides cream. We then egg wash it, flour coat it, panko bread it, and deep fry it, and serve with our own Skipper's hot sauce and a lemon. You drizzle the lemon and then you dip in the hot sauce to kind of awaken the flavors there.
I guess chowder here in the Northeast, particularly Cape Cod, is similar to barbecue in the South, where every restaurant takes a lot of pride and a lot of care in making sure that their chowder is up to par. We've been fortunate to win 3 very prestigious chowder competitions. We won our local Cape Cod Chowder Festival. We also won the Boston Chowder Festival, and we won which is considered the World Championship of Chowder, which is the Newport Chowder Festival in Rhode Island. And you know, we took a product with our clam chowder that people, they eat a lot of in this restaurant. I think our clam chowder is putting my 3 kids through college. But what we decided, one night I was watching a show about, you know, at the fairs when people fry Twinkies and fry Coca-Cola and, you know, fry all these things. And I was saying, well, maybe we should just fry our clam chowder. So what we did is we make our chowder in 40-gallon batches. And before we add the cream, we have a base. So we take the base, we refrigerate it, we put it in egg wash, dip it in panko breadcrumbs and deep fry it. And we serve it with a hot sauce. So when we were going to chowder festivals, a lot of people were using Tabasco sauce or a hot sauce in their chowder, and it gives it a different dimension. And we started to try it, and people really like it, which I hope you're probably going to get to try it shortly, and it'll be interesting to get some Southerners' takes on what clam chowder, or fried clam chowder was like.
I didn't know that fried clam chowder was a thing until I came here.
Right. This is the only place we've ever been, and it's the only place in Cape Cod, on the East Coast,
Cape Cod and in New England.
that you can get fried clam chowder. We're about to try it, along with fine oysters we have here that are all grown here on the Cape Cod coast. Let's dig in.
Interesting.
I think it's really good. And when you put the hot sauce on it, it's got a real good taste to it.
And the lemon.
And the lemon, I like it. I like it a lot. We're about to try the 3-time award-winning clam chowder here.
Right, this is more traditional.
Yeah, it's traditional, definitely traditional. That is good stuff.
Very good.
Well, you know, we're very fortunate that we have George's Bank, where so many trawlers go off of Cape Cod and out of Massachusetts to fish on. You know, you can see that show Wicked Tuna that's on TV, and you know, it's just a wonderful place and a wonderful resource for us to harvest from. So like tonight we'll have halibut on the menu, we have swordfish on our menu, we have Chatham Day Boat scallops, and they're all sourced locally here. So when like Chatham Day Boat scallops, the scallopers go out in the morning, harvest them, and they're back in the evening, and literally that night or the next day they're being served in some of the finer restaurants here on the Cape. And people really, supply and demand, that's what people want, and we're able to give it to them.
This is the quintessential Cape Cod clam bake. If you were to go to any clam bake on any beach, these are all the items you would wish to have in your pot. We have a little bit of corn on the cob, the guisa sausage here, which is a spicy Portuguese sausage, and we have native steamers. So now what you do with the steamers is you take them out of the shell, and they have a little bit of a casing here at the end that you just peel off. You then dip them in broth as you get the casing off. They're so fresh that they do come sandy. So you dip them in the broth that they're cooked in, and then you dip them in butter. And they're good to enjoy. The mussels you can eat right out of the shell. They're caught fresh and we bring them in. And then the centerpiece of your clam bake is the 1.5-pound lobster. It's the same lobster you can catch right in the water we're looking at. I have caught them before myself. So how you take these is you twist the tail and pull off. Now, the green is called tamale. That's just the innards of a lobster, and the red is roe. It is the eggs of the lobster. If you were to cook that long enough, it would have a caviar-type context to it. Now, to get the lobster out, you just take off the flippers here. take off the ends and then push on the tail. And the whole tail should come out in one piece for you there. With the claws, I'll do one, and then that will be your intro, and then you can do the other. This little fold here, you pull off. Take the pincher of the claw and pull off as well. And about 3/4 the way down, you push and crack and twist. Just push out the meat with the pinky there. Now see the little splash zone there, you have to wear the bib. And then there's the whole claw for you. So I'm gonna start dipping that in butter.
Okay.
Now some people, the best part is the knuckle. So for that, you just push out and you get all the meat.
Day one is ended here at Cape Cod with dinner at Skipper's.
And a nice big clam bake.
And more food than we knew what to do with.
They have so much to choose from here. It took us so long to order.
And all fresh from the Cape seafood.
That's right.
Well, this is Lighthouse Inn, and we're glad that you came to visit us. We've been here for 3 generations. We've had 4 generations of our family working here, and we quite often will get to host 2 and 3 generations of families that like to come here for vacation. We have lots of facilities for kids. Besides the beach and the pool, we have mini golf and a pirate ship and swings, shuffleboard, a little something for everyone. And we're located in West Ennis on Cape Cod, and we have about 7 acres here, and a bunch of our hotel rooms are cottages that are all laid out over the 7 acres, and it gives plenty of kids plenty of room to play and chase the rabbits and enjoy the natural beauties of Cape Cod. This is where we're located right here in West Ennis on the south side of Cape Cod. And these are all shipwrecks that have gone down over the past 400 years. So one of the reasons that the local mariners felt like they needed a lighthouse here was in order to wait for favorable winds, because it was an 18-hour sail from here up to Boston with favorable winds. But if there was a southeast wind or an east wind, they couldn't get around the Cape. And not only are all these shipwrecks, but all of these listed on each sandbar shoal are shipwrecks. And the Witta went down in 1717. That was a pirate ship that they found about 15 years ago, and there's a museum up in Provincetown with all the artifacts, gold and cannonballs, cannons. So 1850, Congress appropriated $4,000 to build this property. And if you want to go up in the light, you can go check it out. Oh, yes. So in 1989, I got permission from the Coast Guard to relight the light as a private aids to navigation, so we're on all of the navigational charts. Just watch your head when you get near the top there.
So this is the original lighthouse?
Yes. Yep. If you want to go up, there's room for 2. So if you look up in there, you'll see all those light bulbs up there. So when one light bulb goes out, the mechanism turns and puts another light bulb in the correct spot, so that lens can refract the light chimneys when, and that's the beam that's going out to the horizon. So this light can be seen about 13 miles out to the horizon. So this would have been one of the rooms that the children or families from the lighthouse keeper would have grown up in, and you can see we've kept all the original woodwork and the beams, and it's got great views from here out to the ocean. So you can see the original lighthouse up there. And that back in the late 1800s, that would have been the only light on the shore at the time. And that rock island out there is where the ships would anchor.
Really?
And the long oarsmen would row into the end of Bass River, which is the long jetty you see down there. You can see the water where the river goes up in through the marsh there. So this is what the property looked like in the late 30s, just after my father and grandfather bought it. You can see that the lighthouse is in the center section, and there were a few cottages, but not as many as today. And then if you progress over to this one, let's see, you're staying up in the lookout, but so that wasn't built yet. The lookout would be up there. And that was not built until '56. That was my parents' answer to the motel craze at the time, because everything was roadside motels built in the '50s. Progresses a little bit more. There was another dining room added there, and the lookout still isn't in there. And a little bit of history about Hurricane Bob. And Hurricane Bob, and my father happened to be named Bob, and he got his picture in the paper because that bass was in our parking lot. It was considered a keeper bass. It had quite a bit of road burn on it, but I guess he had a pretty tough time making it through the storm, and he didn't make it. This picture right here, that's all that was left was the foundation. And there's the old section of the lighthouse. And parts of that were gone. And they had to shore up the floor before it fell down. But that's before we had any breakwaters. The sand and beach came right up to the building. This building got knocked off its foundation by about 12 feet. So that was a pretty powerful hurricane.
The Lighthouse Inn has accommodations for everyone. Aside from the rooms in the main house, there are also great guest rooms in the lookout, as well as cabins that families can rent.
So we have all kinds of accommodations here. Everything from coming out from a weekend couple for two, or 2 or 3 family generations of family, and it's quite enjoyable. So this would be a room for 2. Very enjoyable if you want to have a fireplace at night on a cool evening. We supply firewood, and these cottages were built in the 40s, but they've since been upgraded and renovated. Want a little bit more privacy and you have some kids, we have cottages that are 2 and 3 bedroom. So this would give a family of 4 or 6 a little bit more room. You still have a living room area where you can enjoy the being spread out a little bit, and then this would be 2 bedroom, 2 baths. And you can go right in. Enjoy.
Every cabin here has its own at-home feel, with wood-burning fireplaces, comfortable beds, and a lovely view of the Cape Cod coast. The property also includes a dining and reception hall that is open for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day.
These dining rooms were built after the '44 hurricane. The original dining rooms were downstairs on the lower level, and those got wiped out by the hurricane, so got an architecture firm out of Boston and put these on piers so that they were able to withstand hurricanes. And we've had about, maybe 6 or 8 since then, and the building stands up well during those natural disasters. But I have lots of families that enjoy coming here, 3 and 4 generations. Come to Lighthouse Inn. So in the spring and fall, we can do weddings up to 220. It allows families to come for the weekend and have some good family time during breakfast the day before, the day after. And all of our accommodations allow for good family gathering areas as well. And in July and August, we can do up to 85 small weddings because of the other business that we have. But a lot of people get married right on the waterfront, and they can have their feet in the sand over here or on the lawn over here, whatever they're comfortable with. But it's been a very popular venue for weddings for quite a long time. I got married here in 1988, so that's a few years ago.
How do they book the wedding?
Well, you can find us on lighthouseinn.com, find out all about what we have to offer, or give us a call at Lighthouse Inn, West Dennis, Cape Cod.
Tonight we're eating dinner at a local spot, Joe's Beach Road Barn Grill. It's a great place with a real friendly atmosphere, and Kathy and Joe were kind enough to give us a tour of the place. And there's
So much to choose from.
yes, great menu. Let's go inside.
Let's go.
Hi, I'm Kathy Lewis, the proprietor of Joe's Barley Neck Inn. We're located in Orleans, Massachusetts, way out in the elbow of Cape Cod. This building originated in this one room in about 1820. We don't know exactly because the county courthouse burned down, but we call it the Doan Room after the family who built it. All around the building is a building built in 1868 that was added on to this room by Captain Joseph Taylor, our first Joe here on the property. He became very wealthy. He was in the shipbuilding business, and he built the fastest clipper ship to ever make the ride from Boston to Liverpool. He cashed in his earnings when he sold the ship and bought this property and made it into the property it is today. In the early part of the 1900s, 2 twin boys served in the ambulance corps in France. Their father was the youngest banker in America. He was president of the Cleveland National Bank. They owned this property. The boys were in the ambulance corps in World War I and sent these posters back from France.
Joe's is a well-known establishment, which has been featured in publications such as USA Today. On any given night, the restaurant has a lively atmosphere, and you can seat yourself at the bar or pull up a chair at a table. But no matter where you sit, you can expect 2 things: great service and a great tasting meal.
Our chef's name is Will Hollinger. He was actually our first chef when we opened our doors 20 years ago. He returned to us this spring, and he's reinvented all of his classic seafood dishes. We have lots of small plates, and we always have a couple of good steaks on our menu too. It's a pretty broad menu. We also have 3 different kinds of burgers. We have our stacked burger, which with grass-fed beef from Maine. We also have our salmon burger, and we also have a vegetarian burger, a classic falafel. We also have lots of salads, a lot of pastas, pizzas, and flatbreads. So there's something for everyone. We welcome children. We welcome private parties and special events also.
Joe's has something for everyone, and most of the menu items are gluten-free. You can find crispy calamari, boneless beef short ribs, as well as a grilled boneless salmon steak, and much more. On the next edition of On the Map, we're visiting a city that is rich in history and barbecue.
We're heading to Charleston.
If you enjoyed this show, check out previous episodes and more on our YouTube channel. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter at On the Map TV to get pics and updates as we're out on the road.